Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Who taught us last week? There is a club Fedora. Maybe national. She was a various clubs. Since we know there's somebody who knows better.
That's right.
Yes. So once again, it's good to be on Ghana's #1 talk show, right? Yes. Undisputed, unparalleled. Yes, we've shattered all the charts, right? Yeah, for the past 3 years, and so we are thankful to the people of Ghana for seeing the right channel, right, the right station to follow, because here we are unfiltered. Nobody tells us what to say, etc. You see, when we first started that, Oforiatta wasn't up to it. He hadn't been doing this work for decades as other stations had been allowing people to say. Eventually, you saw Kpebu came here and said, look, Oforiatta, he was the one who brought Oforiatta and Togbe to learn from the big boys. Meanwhile, we're told that, Oforiatta had been issuing bonds for decades. Meanwhile, when did we start going to the bonds market? One big lie that through this platform, we're able to break that myth, the lies that he was already accomplished. He was issuing bonds. Meanwhile, they couldn't show where, right? When he had learned as an apprentice under Kpebu Hagen's time as Deputy Finance Minister. Many other things. So this is the right channel. This is the right channel. So thank you for making this program the biggest. So in the same way, we would thank Sofo Kufu Yasantua for all the good work. Yes, more fire Yasantua. The same to Domahini. The same to Togbe Afede, Togbe Akpekaka, right? I'm going to improve my ever very soon. Next week you will hear more ever from me, right?
Ahead.
And all and men,
to me.
Yes, men above 40, please keep checking your prostate health. Very, very.
You have been consistent that the NPP would only get your vote back if Patrick Boama or Kojo Ponkroma is on the ticket.
Yes, and that's in 2032. As for 2028, look, my brother, it's a lost cause. We are not kids. On what grounds? The money they've looted. Why are we foolish? But me too, I can also become president.
You are part of.
You know, this is an allegation. You know, this is an allegation.
You have to yet.
The cases in court are clear.
The cases.
The money they've looted. Why has Oforiatta fled? Why has he fled? If he was innocent, why wouldn't he sit here? Why would you stay in Ghana?
Is he the only person who is not in the country?
Let's put it all together.
So there's no way. 2028, I don't see NPP making any
that's your opinion.
Winning the elections. No, then it will suggest that we don't have human resources in Ghana. Abdullah can become president. Professor Bopin is here. How can we vote for NPP? Why would we vote for NPP in 2028? It's a no-brainer.
Martin, are you not there?
Yes, so I can also do
also exclude you?
Exactly. And so you can, provided you are not on the ticket of the NPP. So we are sitting here, we also can perform the job. So what would make me want to vote for Bawumia? 2028, no.
So you're still going with
Patrick Boama for 2032. Not 2028. As for 2028, let's be realistic. That thing belongs to NDC. 1.7 million votes.
How do you say that they're so confident?
So let's be scientific this way. Look, with JM having gotten close to, JM gave him Bawumia a gap. Bawumia asked for a gap. That the only thing left with is a gap. Let's give them a gap. And of course, JM gave him a gap, a very wide gap, about 1.7 million votes. Now, if you look at our electoral cycle and the way human beings, we are pragmatic. We are not idealistic. So in 4 years, unless the NDC government loots us far more than MPP looted, there's no chance that we'll vote MPP back in 4 years. No, unless the NDC loots well beyond Kennedy Apon's statement that MPP was looting like there was no tomorrow. So maybe they should be looting like there's no tomorrow to the highest degree, super looting.
Would that not be concerning that, we go into an election and our only measure of who is going to lead us is who has looted less?
Yes, because that's common sense. Because look, Mr. Okanse, every government comes and will do some programs in our Greek. Right? Every government, like in the previous regime, they tried their planting for food and jobs, except that it wasn't revolutionary enough, like what this current administration is doing with Nkokon Kitinkiti That's a Feed Ghana project. Feed Ghana, the research agenda, right? So the previous government wasn't as daring, wasn't as bold, wasn't as revolutionary as this current government, right? Go to education. The current government is
these
continuing.
policies have just started.
Yeah, right.
They have just started.
Yes, but this time, JM knows that if he dare not fail, he himself knows that no, there's no space for failure. So it must only be a win, right? So you look at the sense of urgency, the vigor, etc. You see that this administration is far more purpose than Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo came in with free SHS, but free SHS, yes, and I'm a lifelong ambassador of free SHS. It's laudable, but it wasn't far-reaching enough. Agriculture was a low-hanging fruit where they were supposed to ramp up. And actually, that was the message he brought. And that's one of the reasons I voted for him, that they were going to ramp up a revolutionary agriculture that would deliver jobs and jobs and jobs. And then they did the opposite, right?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, so, I mean, so the whole thing is that when we say the one who loots far less will be the one to win, it makes sense. In other words, that's the one who keeps the public purse. In Akufo-Addo's regime, we lost the public purse. It ended up in his pocket, he and his family.
But you said, you promised us that you were going to take him on.
Yes.
You still have a 3-year period.
Yeah, now 2 years left. 1 year is gone.
Yes.
This is December. 2 years, yes, hopefully, because you see, I mean, anybody knowing, if you are pragmatic, I can take Akufo-Addo on well when Kissi Ejabi is no longer special prosecutor. He said Jabe already showed that he's playing for them.
You're bringing conditions to the promise you made.
Yes, at that time, I didn't know Kissi Ejabi was going to play for Akufo-Addo. You saw how he started the SML
but you made the
investigation.
promise that you would. But there are other ways.
Yes, but I want the criminal one. But you see how Kissi Ejabi allowed Oforiatta to flee before he started investigations. If I send Akufo-Addo's petition, that's the same thing.
No, but there are other ways to still.
You can bring a civil action.
Yes, but I just hope.
Under Article 41.
Yes, but you know something. Thankfully, under Section 15 of the OSP Act, once I presented my petition, the president has 7 days to send it to the Chief Justice. The 7 days have elapsed. It elapsed on 17th of December because I presented it on 11th.
Okay.
The Chief Justice, also under Section 15 of the same law, has 30 days. After the 30 days, I pray that he will make a prima facie determination that Kissi must answer some of the charges. And once that is made, within 2 weeks, 14 days, they must set up a committee, and the committee must finish its work, like the way for the Feȧr&Pan committee. They must finish within 90 days. So all I'm saying in one word is that in the next 4 to 5 months, if my petition works, Kissi Ejabi should be out. So when we get a better manager of the OSP, then I can put in my petition. Because
but then again, that's what I'm saying, that the promise that you made was not conditional. It was an unconditional
don't worry. In
promise
4 to 5 months,
that
we'll
you
get
said
to know.
you will take up and pursue
the case is there.
the former President Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
On matters of, as you allege,
I've not hidden
corruption.
it. I've not hidden. It's the case of Manasseh Azure's investigation, the 500 million, what do you call it, contract.
You are waiting for another special prosecutor.
Yes, because
until that is done, then what?
We are just waiting for about 4 or 5 months to know whether Kissi
So if it doesn't happen, then what?
And then I have to review, but whichever way, at least, hopefully, there will be some reforms. Because even the president said the office should show relevance. So assuming Kissi doesn't even leave, I expect that in the middle of the road, there will be reforms. So that henceforth, when you send a petition to the office, Kissi Ejabi alone will not sit on it like what he did to the SML and allow the Oforiatta to run away from this country. Okay. That won't happen again. Right. So that when I present my petition, we expect that under the new law, it will go to a committee. Kissi Ejabi sat on several petitions.
So that's all I needed from you. The people who are watching.
Point Professor Bobkin made. He's talking about diversification. In other words, means that don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's always been the refrain for over, God knows how long. That's been the refrain. Even when the Akufo-Addo was coming, it's the same thing. That you can't use one approach. You can't just back your currency with only gold. But it's also the case that no matter how you diversify, you can't say that you're not going to back the currency with gold. Professor Bobkin, do I get that? Do I get that?
Gold as part of our reserve didn't start today.
Exactly.
It's been part of our reserve money, but now there's a scaling up.
Yes.
And also,
so that tells you that it's an eclectic approach. Immunization. So there's no way you would ever say that, listen, we would not back the currency with gold. That is not on the table.
The countries that don't produce gold, they buy it to back their currency.
Exactly. So we need that education. Yeah. That's very clear. That's the point that I'm making. So please, let's be very clear that no matter what we say, at the end of the day, we will still need gold to back the currency. As to how we do it, that one, then it varies from government to government. So let's be very clear. You will always need the gold to back the currency. You will always need that gold, at least into the foreseeable future. Maybe when we do well on the virtual assets, Bitcoin, etc. But for now, as I'm seeing it, you will always need the gold. So then, as to how each government does it, then it becomes a question of policy, right, of the government, etc. And so I also agree that, yes, diversification is the key. The only thing is that, like we've been saying it for, as I said, from the time I was a student to today, right? And it's not even university days. Look, if you go back to the junior secondary school, you open the textbooks. It's in the textbooks there. I hope they haven't changed them, where they will tell you that our bane is over reliance on our primary
commodities.
Yes, gold, cocoa. That's been the problem. So for over 35 years now, I've seen it. They've been teaching this from JHS to secondary school to university, etc. PhDs, and the PhD people are here.
That's and why we don't revise our lecture notes.
You see, and we are still here making
because the problems are the same.
Because it's the same. What we said they should do, they haven't done it.
Exactly. So it's there. Look, if you down, I'm sure those who have kids in the JHS, let them open the social studies books, etc. It's there. It's there.
They go to universities. The lecture notes are still
too old.
Why you change academic year?
When you do, then you go to university level, 100 economics level, 200, then those economists that we did, it's still there. And secondary school is still there. So it tells you that that's how we keep repeating. And we will not get tired of repeating that. Look, so citizens of Ghana, those of you at home, where the main problem comes from is your lack of engagement. That is where the problem is. When you decide to engage, when you decide to step in so that you push government will act to diversify the economy well. But when you don't, and you sit aloof and say, oh, politics is for criminals, oh, the bad, etc., it won't work. Look, if you like a practical example that we can use to motivate ourselves, you remember the Galamsey fight. What happened? When you jumped in, all of us jumped in and said, no mining in forests, etc. And as Professor Bobkin is indicated. You see how government is doing its best. You see the creation of NIMOS, etc. And I like the famous example that as a lawyer, this Etiwa Forest case where I lost my job. The time I was taking on the case of Etiwa Forest, it was very clear to me, even the lawyer going to court, I knew that this case will lose it because once government makes it clear to the court that when we mine bauxite in the Etiwa Forest, we will create millions of jobs, the economy will improve. But I decided to take a leap of faith. I went in and see from 2019.
You don't have to win all cases.
Exactly. So I decided to go in because my main point at the time was that I'd rather go to court, lose, so that tomorrow when there's trouble, I say, by me, I did my best. I went to court and we lost. But look at what happened. Barely about 5 years on, you see how citizens, you jumped in and you said there will be no mining in forests, and that's been it. So Akufo-Addo last minute had to capitulate. And the same way, President Mahama also incoming in the opposition, campaigning, and then since assuming office, he's made it clear that there will be no more mining in forests. So that's one example when citizens decide to engage, when you decide to make your voices heard through TUC, other CSOs, etc. So this diversification, what we are saying is that it's been there. The other name for it, when Akufo-Addo was coming, when he said he would change the Gettysburg economy, that's his other name. So everything they've been saying here,
reinforcing it.
Excellent. So everything the professors have been saying is Akufo-Addo's Gettysburg economy, which he said he would come and diversify. And we sat down, we didn't do enough to push. We said planting for food and jobs, and earlier on I said it wasn't revolutionary enough. Today we have what? Feed Ghana, or popularly called
Grow 24.
Grow 24, and also Nkukwan Kitten, if you are a food soldier.
I hope you will not chew those chickens.
Excellent. So you see, so please, the key to it is when you decide to engage on the economy, don't leave it to the professors alone. Yes, they are professors, but we also know very clearly that he who feels it knows it. He who feels it knows it. So you know how you struggle to feed your family. So you also know enough economics to be able to make an input. Don't say that Professor Bobkin should speak, Professor Sumi alone should speak. No. You don't need to have read economics anywhere. Once you manage your home, you also can make an input, because after all, Article 36 is clear that, look, no matter what the government does, the key thing is that manage the economy in such a way that we'll have a good standard of living, that we all can afford food, etc. So no matter what Professor Bobkin and the rest come and say, bottom line, say, is the economy being managed in such a way that we all can have food, we all can have, sustenance, because self-preservation is the first, instinct. Yes, it's the first principle, first instinct. If you don't preserve yourself, if you don't live, would you have opportunity to make the other lofty arguments? And so look, let's repeat just a few provisions of 36. It says, the state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every person in Ghana, and to provide adequate means of livelihood and suitable employment and public assistance to the needy. So there you have it. There you have it. Do the national economy in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and to secure the maximum welfare. Welfare. How are you feeding your family? Is the cost of living crisis killing you? Is the cost of living crisis killing? So if it's killing you, you have the right to say something. It mustn't be left to Professor Bobkin, Professor Isumi, and all the professors alone. You see, so let's engage, because if you don't, so how do you engage? You make your voices heard, social media, demonstrations, etc. We did Kumi Preko when we're feeling it, right? We're feeling the hunger. And of course, the hunger hasn't disappeared, but it appears to be ameliorated a bit, because this year there's a bumper harvest, etc. But it doesn't mean, but I know people are still struggling. Yes, people are still struggling to make ends meet. So let's engage more. If you don't engage, everything the professors have told you about diversification, which I said we started learning about 35 years ago, okay, when we became conscious, we'll become, theoretical. We'll just be theoretical. It won't be practical. A few days ago, when the Prime Minister of the UK was addressing his people as part of the Christmas message, he himself, he had to acknowledge, because the citizens kept pressing him. They pressed him that, look, times are hard. We are feeling the cost of living crisis. So in his Christmas message, he acknowledged it and said, look, yes, I see there's hardship. They who generally, there are food pantries there. You can go and get food for free, etc. Still, you are struggling there. So if you don't speak up and you say a few people should come here and speak, sorry. Don't speak up. You don't let your voice be heard. Right. I think a few people here, no, government is pressed on all sides. So the one who shouts the loudest generally gets more attention. That's what I can say about this economics. Please, it's not for the experts. He who feels it knows it.
All right. Thank you.
Normally in economics, and also for balance of payment purposes, when we talk about an economy, it's defined to include land area, airspace, territorial waters, the environment, territorial enclaves. So when you say you are managing your economy very well, it cannot be dissociated from the environment and all of that. So that's what I'm saying. If we say we are managing, and the Constitution says let's manage the economy well, we can interpret that to mean that we are also preserving our environment and taking total control. Because these precious minerals, you are a lawyer, they are invested in the state. It's not like they are the property of some individuals who can just mine it the way they want it and export it the way we have to. So the economy is more than just saying inflation. It's more than just saying food and all of that. I agree with the position. The economy can be defined to include security, territorial integrity, water bodies, and all of that. And so when we talk about modeling, you can never talk about economic sustainability without also talking about environmental or ecological integrity.
Okay, thank you. Professor Bokin, so, you add the bit about value addition. When you mentioned it, I had indicated earlier that there's a component of the gold board operations that actually addresses that, but is in the process of scaling it up to expand the value addition to gold. Because I know there's some partnership with some refineries to add value to the gold as well. So that's part of the operations. I just needed to put it on record.
You see, this morning, I have had the benefit of being reminded of the concepts that I had to go through in the economic department of the University of Ghana, and particularly focusing on value addition and diversification, all that we have done in the universities. Most of the time, the policies are good, but the management of such policies, the implementation of these policies, and the other component of human resource, the human resource that we apply to the natural resources that we have. You see, we don't achieve the results that we anticipate. And let's take the issue of even sanitation in Ghana. There was a Ministry of Sanitation in Ghana created. The expectation was that we were going to have a cleaner city in 100 days. Is that right? Then, very important. Listen. Very important policy, very interesting one. And my expectation was that we'll get a hands-on person to make sure it happens. And at the end of the day, somebody sits in Accra and will not even move and see whether we are implementing the program. At the end of the day, we all lose out, nothing happens, a whole ministry for so years, and that concept of managing the, sanitation fizzles out. And so when we talk about the whole economy and we leave out the human aspect of it, then again, we create the problems. The value addition, it has been on the table for the longest while. When I was at Frizzos, that was one of the things that I was promoting. Let's get the companies that will add value to our natural products. Otherwise, we are lost in the international markets. When you go there with all your cassava, plantain, and all that, people will just apply technology and change the face of it, and they will make the money, and we will count the losses. So I think that the report, as has come to us, clearly from a contextual prescription, there is a presumption of acceptance of the loss, because all this vocabulary will not take away the loss. The loss is there, and they are finding different ways of telling us that we have lost. So when we say let's wait for audited accounts,
what the Bank of Ghana is saying is the element of speculation they identify or go with there is that there's an audit that's ongoing.
Yes,
wait
I know.
for the audit to be completed.
Yes, I know, but
before
there is
you
always
make a specific.
There is a signal that there is loss, and the quantum is that which an audit will bring out. Again, there is a possibility of us also looking at the whole value chain to see other areas of loss that has not been also quantified in this. And I gladly, Prof. also mentioned the environmental loss, environmental cost. It has not also been factored into the calculation. So at the end of the day, when we do the value chain analysis, we will see that the loss is even greater than what has been. This is fiscal loss. But in terms of depreciation and all that, when they put everything together, we see that we'll be counting more losses. So, and that shouldn't also discourage us. Once we have the resources, what if we apply other resources, the metallic resources, we apply other resources like technology, human resource, and all that. We should have an improved situation, not rather a deficit at the end of the total calculation. So the drivers of policy is also important. The people who will make sure it happens is also important. I had a chance to be in a meeting as chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, and we were discussing international issue on environment. It so happened that the minister who was supposed to even drive the vision didn't understand what was going on. And on the quiet, somebody came to my room, told me, you have to redeem this. You see, why do you get somebody like that to lead it when he can't do it? Or she or he cannot do it? And then you go behind the meeting and tell us to go and redeem the image of the country. So the appointing system, all these things happening. Look at the education you have had this morning. And these hands are left idle, and they are stuck in the university campuses 4 walls.
No, we are working.
4 walls. No.
We are working.
No. What I'm saying is that we should exploit it even better. You see, you can't only be working in university when we need these brains in the center of decision making, and people are confined to universities. We don't association between academia and industry so important. Who is to bridge that gap? We can bring a trade minister who will sit in an office 24 hours a day, go home and come back the next morning, and not relating industry to academia. And this is where we even lose the import of research. So, to me, it is good that we have seen it from the beginning. What is important is to make sure that we find the lost points within the value chain and address them, and make sure that, in fact, most of the natural resource contracts, I've said it many times, natural resource contracts, we sign contracts with foreign interest, and all that we get is a threshold of 5%, 3%, 5% of royalty threshold, and we are happy as a country. When other people are signing contracts, gaining 50% of returns.
Okay. Royalties.
Right.
So we are losing.
We are losing even the royalty threshold is zero.
And that's why you say you laud the gold board program in the intervention.
The program is good.
Yes, as a starting point, but we can do better.
But there was a question that was to, and I want you to you would answer that together with Professor. Please,
but if you
yes, sorry.
Okay. Yes. So now I'm happy also that having looked at the constitutional review, I'm happy that at least some pre-acquisition owners are being attended to now. From the review, we'll come to that. But yes. I'm happy that we are looking at the resources of the country and how best can we mobilize those resources for the interest and use of the whole country, not for people who are privileged to be appointed to positions like that and take advantage. So,
as for the constitutional review, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that, but I'm just flagging it because I'm so happy that the Constitutional Review Committee, they have looked at the interests of pre-acquisition owners who have been cheated all this while. I'm happy it is happening. When we get there, I'll then bring out examples and even relate to the case of Nita Techru and what has happened post Nita Techru.
Okay.
So, Ahmed, I think that as a country, let's go back to the drawing board. It is not too late. We have attempted, but we have not done. So let's go back to it. We have the brains. We have the resources. We have the legislation. We need to also create the people who will make sure our expectations are met with the combination of all that which we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this. Professor Abdallah Ali Nachia, good morning to you. He sends a message. It says, the Queen Mother who stopped Galamsey and seized equipment is an example of the community getting involved in the charge of preventing Galamsey, as rightly stated by Honorable Adiapia Kobi some time ago. I commend him and his work and commitment in his constituency before he exited in the fight against illegal mining. It says Professor Abdallah Ali Nachia.
He's my classmate.
He's your classmate?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Yes. And Dr. Theo Champo is on Zoom. I'm going to hold him on in a bit he's repositioning to join us. But also joining us on Zoom is Samit Jemfi, is the CEO of Gold Board, and then to make this quick intervention on a number of things, some specific issues that you raised, and then also in direct response to that aspect of the IMF report. He's joining us on Zoom as well. Mr. Jemfi, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred, and best wishes of the season to your esteemed panelists.
Thank you very much. And indeed, that is capable of growing and responding to the changing needs of the people. Well, but the entire exercise was necessitated by, as Professor Ikwesi Prempeh put it, the changing needs and expectations of people. But they're going to focus on 5 areas, just for the benefit of this conversation this morning. The increase of the number of years in a term for the president, 4 to 5 years. Your verdict, you agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely disagree. Oh, it's a no. In actual fact, though HPC Prempeh said they didn't find space for a third term,
yes,
He ended up proposing a third term through the back door, which we cannot accept. Because by saying 5-year terms, 2 of them, it means that you get 10.
10 years.
And
yes.
if we are doing a straight third term, you'd have had 12. So he's just giving us half of the third term. We will throw that one out quickly.
Why?
It won't survive. Let's start with our history. When we adopted this Constitution 1992, the Consultative Assembly, okay, that led the deliberations, etc., after the Committee of Experts submitted it to them. There were subcommittees within the Consultative Assembly. There was one on governance. They proposed this 5-year term in the Consultative Assembly. Like so, they met, they had committees, etc. The Committee on Governance brought this 5-year term in their report. When it was submitted to the main body, a vote was put on it, and it was roundly defeated, 128 against 83. Roundly defeated. Well, people, and of course, there was a debate before the vote in the
against
83. So that's a round defeat. People were very clear that don't try this 5-year term. So I don't know where HPC Prempeh got this from. Maybe they were not experts, Professor Feȧr&Pan and co. I didn't see enough. Maybe they should have been a greater fusion. You see, Feȧr&Pan's committee should have been given more prominence because they did, you see, and let's remember this, Feȧr&Pan's committee, right, did a deeper engagement with the public. We voted. I remember voting through MTN, text message, etc. And this 5-year term, if you read their report, was one of the most, contentious issues where citizens made their views very known. They said, don't try any 5-year term. So I was like, HPC Prempeh, this thing, I'm sure you've consulted Feȧr&Pan and co. Oh, no, it doesn't show a reflection of our history. We've been very clear that nobody should try any 5-year term. Very, very clear. So it's a no. It's a non-starter cry that this current committee dreamt of a 5-year term. Because in any event, this committee did not have a mandate to engage the citizens like what Feȧr&Pan's committee did. Feȧr&Pan's committee, Abdullah, I don't know, did you vote? I remember voting. We voted. You were given this, so you received vote. So it means that the whole country, citizens, everybody who wanted to make an input could make an input. But HPC Prempeh's committee was not designed to do such a thing. So between the two, where citizens were allowed to vote, citizens expressed their opinion, everybody could make an input, as against a committee that gathered a few experts and did a few mini consultations. You go with the one that had engaged the whole nation. Okay, so don't try anything about 5-year term. No, we are not made for that. Now let's answer some of the concerns.
Okay.
Look, when you talk about preparation, so point. I'm going
to run the points by you. So if you disagree, let me come to...
Listen, let's come to the substance. Let's come to the substance.
You have a defeated when they mention of a... Why would you always...
But I lived in this regime. Can you imagine Akufo-Addo for extra 2 years?
No, that is not fair.
Please, to the point.
Yes, when I first started...
We are talking about constitutional review. Talk about
So we need poor governance. When you get a a poor
So, you see the
president.
only person who
So that's a living example.
please.
That's a living
make the point.
When you talk about Kufuor's poor governance, a lot of the young people, the Gen Zs cannot relate. So I'm giving them the one that they can. Oh, Kufuor, so we suffered. So that's how come, even though.
So you haven't
Okay,
suffered
yes.
apart from
So you said
Kufuor, so we
you said
suffered,
to
but
the
that's
point.
what they
You can
do.
do
The
your
point.
NDC
Gentlemen,
bid, but
you said to the
this
point.
one,
Oh, let's
You
go.
have to
Now
be
to the
professional.
point.
You are a lawyer.
Let's go to the substance. So when citizens were asked about this 5-year thing, they said, listen, this 1 year that Kufuor spent 1 year forming a government, they said their response, the constitutional review, Fiajo's committee report, they said prepare in opposition, use part of the time to prepare. So as you are campaigning, also prepare as to who you put in as this minister, that minister, etc.
You don't win before you decide.
Exactly. That's the verdict of the people.
have
That's
to be
number
there to
one.
understand this.
Let me continue.
Right.
Then number two, let's come here. There's this Supreme Court decision a lot of lawyers don't pay attention to, right? Now, in the JH Mensah case, right, the Supreme Court said that when you nominate ministers, they are also allowed to act. They are allowed to act for a reasonable period before the vetting and approval in Parliament. So it doesn't mean that meaning that when the president says, I nominate Atuforsen as finance minister, etc., he should go and start the work. Then when Parliament is ready, they will call him to do vetting. Of course, because the Supreme Court said within a reasonable period. So I'm thinking maybe 6 months. But if people think, oh, for governance, 6 months looks too long, maybe they can reduce it to 3 or 4 months. But the key point I'm making is that the Supreme Court has held that when a minister is nominated, he is allowed to go and act for a reasonable period before the vetting. So don't use vetting and approval as an excuse. We settled this a long time ago. The JH Mensah versus Attorney General, I think it's 96.
96, yes.
Yes, okay. Yes, but people just don't. When you want to see where it is, go to the last 2-3 lines. Yeah, it appears people read and they don't look at the last part. Last 2-3 lines, you see it there. That ministers can act without parliamentary approval for a reasonable time. Okay, right. So we've looked at all of this. So it shouldn't be that, oh, we are waiting for vetting and approval before a government is fully formed, right? And then also let's go to the next point, which is that, look, in the Fiajo report, you see that they looked at our neighbors, these francophone countries that do the 5-year term, etc., right? And they came back and said Ghanaians are clear that they don't want any 5 years. So please, let's know few. President Kufuor is one person. President Mahama is one person. Apia Kubi is one. When democracy is crowd, exactly, I'm also one. Yeah. But when the thing was put to a vote, number one, like as I said, there's been 2 levels of vote. When we're adopting the 92 Constitution, the Constituent Assembly, that's the 128 against 85 and 13 abstentions, roundly defeated. Then the Fiajo committee, when they engage Ghanaians, also roundly defeated. So why would a few individuals come and say,
thank you, gentlemen.
So you've had 2 chances, you lost.
The next
lost
issue
twice.
linked directly is the age of eligibility. Now, the age of eligibility for the president was the 40 years. Your microphones are off. Your microphone is off, by the way. So the age of eligibility as of now is 40 years. The committee is proposing 30 years, 10 years down, 40 to 30 years.
Look, that one, let me put it this way. My thoughts are still evolving on it, all right?
Yes.
But so far, I don't find anything exceptionally bad. My thoughts are evolving. But the reason I'm not, it doesn't excite me like the other one that we are fighting 5 years to 4 years to 5 years, is that practically there are checks. Generally, you know that a 30-year-old is not likely to, be able to dazzle the rest of the citizenry like that, generally. So it means that if one were to spring up like that, then it means that such a 30-year-old will be of exceptional ability. And so it means that citizens will give him the opportunity, right?
Right.
So that's it. The only one now I'm wondering is that, generally, I just hope that there won't be an increase in the number of those who would then be trying as independents, so as to make the electoral, the ballot very long, the ballot sheets. So I just hope that there won't be an astronomical increase in the number of candidates.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking about. But that one, we should evolve technology, a way to deal with it.
Thank you. This one, message from Kennedy Hedo says, Alfred, on the constitutional review, a 5-year term is suicidal. A broader look at the sub-region of countries with 5 years and the mess thereof is informative enough.
Excellent.
Why not maintain the 4-year term practiced by progressive democracies like the US and others, including Ghana, where this has worked, you say? Thank you very much, Kennedy, for your message this morning. And the last part, the third, as I indicated, for the next 2 weeks, we are doing the 5. There's also the proposal for the capping of the ministers to 57. And then also MPs will not be appointed as ministers. And that's like the strict separation of powers that we're seeing, because you see that more aligned to the Barrow-Montesquieu kind of approach, you know, as against what we're experiencing now from the evolution of John Locke to Barrow-Montesquieu now. And now you're seeing that we're now seeking to align with them strict instead of the flexible separation of powers. How's that going to work?
I think this is long overdue. It's long overdue because we've seen that generally MPs, so we are generally, I agree that an MP should not be a minister, because what it has tended to do is that it weakens parliament. The MPs generally go to parliament in order to increase, or people go to parliament to increase their chances of becoming ministers. And once they become ministers, they are conflicted. And on the one hand, you know, they have allegiance, so to speak, for lack of a better word, to the president. Then on the other hand, they have allegiance to parliament. It doesn't work, right? And you see, the executive position brings them big opportunities. As a minister, he approves big contracts, etc. So there is a lot of gifts, etc. So naturally, he would want to side with the president more. Because how much is a parliamentarian's pay? It's next to nothing compared to what a minister will get. I'm not talking about the corruption one, no. I mean gifts, genuine gifts. A contractor is done and he comes to give you a gift, etc. We'll deal with that when it comes to asset declaration. But for now, our laws don't totally prohibit that, as long as you didn't twist his arm, you didn't threaten the person or delay the contract, etc., right? So because the minister will get more from the executive, that's from his position as minister, he tends to be weak. He loses that oversight over the president. So we are looking at Article 103 of the Constitution, the way Parliament should have oversight. Just as the way we too, as citizens, should have oversight over the president and all the other arms of government, as stated in the preamble to the Constitution, Article 1, Article 35, Article 125, etc., right? So the checks and balances are weakened. So I think this is the most popular, recommendation, that a minister should not be a member of parliament. It's long overdue, long overdue.
Thank you.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.